So, full council meeting on Wednesday, 4th of March 2026. Apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies for absence?
Haven't received any, Chair.
Haven't received any?
No.
No? So no apologies for absence. Everybody back on? Yeah? John, you need to put your camera back on because it started.
He's got his hand up.
Thank you. Oh, sorry, John. Councillor Thomas?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Apology for Councillor Julia Jenkins, please.
Okay, lovely, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it then, is there just John? Yeah? Okay. Declarations of interest. Members are reminded of their personal responsibility to declare any personal and prejudicial interest in respect of matters contained in this agenda in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government and Finance Act 1992 relating to council tax, the Local Government Act 2000, the council's constitution and the members' code of conduct. Members are reminded that they must identify the item number and subject matters that their interest relates to and signify the nature of the personal interest. And where members withdraw from a meeting as a consequence of the disclosure of a prejudicial interest, they must notify the chair when they leave. Do we have any declarations of interest then, please? Councillor Andrew Barry, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item 8, Hackney Carriage Private Hire fees. I have private hire and a Hackney licence, and I own a contract taxi company, so I'll be withdrawing.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Barry. Councillor John Thomas, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, same for me. Item agenda 8. I hold private hire and Hackney badges, so I declare a prejudicial and personal interest and leave the meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas.
Thank
Councillor
you.
Gareth Lewis, please.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, agenda item 8, declare a personal and prejudicial interest. I have a family member who's a licensed taxi driver.
Okay. And Councillor Michelle Jones, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's item 7 of the committee reports pay policy statement. My husband works for the local authority, so I'd like to declare personal interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's all the, yeah. Let's move on then to agenda item 3.
Sorry, Madam Mayor.
Sorry.
Lee Davis.
Councillor Lee Davis, please.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, same as Councillor Michelle Jones. My wife works for the local authority as well, so I declare interest.
Thank you. Okay. That's it, yeah? Yeah?
Yeah.
Right then, agenda items 3 to 4, minutes from previous meetings. These items are to approve and enter into the record the draft minutes of meetings previously circulated to committee members of the request to confirm accuracy. The minutes, 9th February 2026, Combined Governance and Audit Committee and Joint Scrutiny Committee. Minutes, Wednesday the 11th of February 2026, Full Council. Do we have a mover, please?
Happy to move, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Carter. Do we have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Okay, then we'll take that to vote then.
Yeah, comments on accuracy.
Oh, sorry. Is there any comments on accuracy, please? No. We'll take some vote then, please.
So could all councillors in agreement with the recommendation please raise their hands? Okay, if you could lower those hands, please. Any councillor not in agreement with the recommendation, please raise their hand. And any councillor wishing to abstain, if they could raise their hands. They are carried, Chair.
Thank you. Agenda item 5, Regional Children's Strategy. Councillor Louise Mayforce, could I invite you to introduce the guests for this presentation, please?
Afternoon, thank you, Madam Mayor. So our guest this evening, a warm welcome to, I believe we have Neil McIntosh, who's the Joint Regional Commissioning Officer. I believe we've got Stacey Chamberlain here. She's the NEST Coordinator for the Cwmtaf Regional Partnership, and Rebecca Goodhand, the Communications and Engagement Manager for Cwmtaf Regional Partnership. So they are here today to give us a presentation on the Cwmtaf Morgannwg Children's Service Strategy called Whole System, Whole Heart. And for Merthyr Tydfil, this is a regional framework that validates, strengthens and aligns with our teams within children's services and what corporate parenting are already doing. And whilst also setting clear expectations about how we work together as a region and how consistently we do it. So with that, Madam Mayor, I can just hand over to our guests.
Okay, lovely, thank you.
Thank you very much. I think my colleague Stacey is going to share the screen if that's allowable at the moment.
Thank you.
Just
I'm
got the
going to share it.
presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we'll try and go through this quite quickly because we're conscious you've got business as normal. So my name's Nia McIntosh, as just introduced. I lead on the capital programme for the Cwmtaf Morgannwg Regional Partnership, and I lead on the Children's Services Projects. And Rebecca Goodhand is our Communications Manager, and Stacey Chamberlain is our Nest Coordinator. So we'd like to introduce to you our first strategy for babies, children and young people across Cwmtaf Morgannwg. We're really proud of the first regional strategy that has been developed in partnership with Merthyr Tydfil, the Cwmtaf and Bridgend partners, also including our Healthwood colleagues and the third sector colleagues. And it has been fully co-produced as well, so we're really proud of that. We'll say a little bit more further along in the presentation around our process around that. But what we'd like to highlight in particular is our strategy, Whole System, Whole Heart, focuses in on the whole lifespan of a child from birth through to primary school, through to the ages into adolescence and onwards into adults. And we're highlighting that by working together, we're recognising that no single agency can solve the challenges and support needed for children and young people. And actually, as partners and local authorities and agencies, we are part of a whole system, really, and a whole connected system that looks to bring education together, along with health, social care, our housing colleagues as well, third sector, and also police. And we're focusing on the strategy and a more preventative approach. So as I've just mentioned, we've developed a strategy. We've got 8 clear ambitions that's been agreed by our partners across the region and co-produced with them, that does start with a lifespan from pre-birth, from a child's early years, and we recognise the investment needed across the early years to promote bonding and attachments, the ambitions also span across through children through their primary school age, into comprehensive school, through to adolescence, and also we've got ambitions that span the focus on the need to plan for transition arrangements for children when they leave children's services and as they go into adult services. We also recognise every child is different, so we try to focus in particular around children and their different gender, their ethnicity, their culture, recognising their needs are all different and they are unique as well, and the intersectionality and connectivity between all of those things that the child brings to their lifespan and as they age and they develop. So as I said, we've already developed this collaboratively across the region. We're really proud of our co-productive approaches. We've held a number of workshops across the partnership. Many of your colleagues and staff from Merthyr Tydfil Council and third sector agencies, VAMPT and Interlinked and BAVO across the region will have been involved in those workshops to co-produce some of the challenges that we see the children go through their lives, and trying to come up with some of the solutions as well. Thank you, next slide. So we've held around 4 or 5 workshops across the region, across the various localities. We have taken 12 months, just over 12 months to develop the strategy, and this has taken a considerable length of time. Let's say, because co-producing things properly they do take time. We've used co-production incentive grants approaches where we've issued small grant funding to many services to help hear the voices of children and families. And also we've done a pilot of co-production Wales as well to support the collaborative and co-productive approach. As I say, we've also undertaken a Nest self-assessment, and the Nest framework underpins a lot of our work, and Stacey will talk to us a little bit more about that later on in the presentation. Next slide, thank you. So just very quickly, as a high-level summary, just the 8 ambitions, highlighting what we're looking to develop and achieve collectively and collaboratively with partners across the region. Our first ambition will look to strengthen services in the early years and support parents when they've got new babies and families, parents. We will look to support children with their healthy eating, healthy activities and lives. In ambition 2, we also recognise the significant needs around children with neurodiversity and the challenges that families have with supporting children with those conditions. We also recognise the well-being and emotional well-being needs of children throughout the age span, and we'll focus on ambitions to support and strengthen services there. Also recognising young carers, and the needs of young carers are quite specific, and we should be encompassing and considering the needs of young carers throughout all of our ambitions. We also have an ambition across the region to develop a regional residential facility. The development of that may take a slight variance from when the strategy has been published, but that work will look to continue. We've also got plans to improve some transition arrangements between children and adult services, and also to strengthen our links between education, health and social care, and build stronger partnerships to help us achieve all of these ambitions as well. Next slide, please. And I think I'm going to hand over to Rebecca now, who's going to talk us through a fantastic video that we've had produced. So it's a bit of a triac, so we'll pass over to my colleague.
Good evening, everyone. So just before I show the film, I just want to briefly mention the launch event we held in November. So we had over 100 people in attendance, including the Children's Commissioner for Wales and the Minister for Mental Health and Wellbeing, Sarah Murphy, also endorsed the strategy through a speech too. So we had that recognition from Welsh Government and senior influencers in that area. Our workshops focused on data sharing, co-production, transition, community and togetherness. It was very collaborative and inspiring. And just to mention as well, I hope you enjoy the film, but children from Merthyr Tydfil are featured in it. So we've got some very young children from Little Rascal Forest Friends and also Troideroo Primary School too. So with that in mind, I'm going to show the film. If you have trouble hearing it, just let me know and I'll make sure that the tech is working. So I'm just gonna go through to the next slide. Right, so I'm about to play it, but let me know if you have trouble hearing it. Oh, sorry.
It would be stronger.
Hi, my name is Jessica. Neighbour.
My name is Ryan Williams.
My name is Archie.
My name's Ashley, and this is Amber.
I'm Caitlin Britton, and I'm 17 years old.
10 years old.
I'm 15 years old.
3 years old. What things make you really happy? Playing football. My friend Rebel. My dog. Dancing.
Performing.
My cat.
Doing sports.
Harry Styles.
Games. Music.
My friends. And my family. My family. My family. What's your favourite way to spend your free time? I like playing in volleyball with my friends. Drawing is really fun in my opinion. I love I can do whatever I want on the page. So it's I can let my imagination run wild.
He enjoys music. He enjoys lights and sensory things.
Spending time with my family and probably hanging around with my friends.
She loves rattles, bubbles. Sometimes, if I'm really tired, I like to sleep along my bed. What's most important to you and your baby?
Inclusion.
And a sense of sort of family and friendship.
Knowing that we have the professionals there to help us and guide us.
If you were in charge for the day, what would you like to do? If I was in charge for the day, that'd be really good.
I think I'd want to change everyone to be equal.
I would try and stop all the bad stuff that's going on.
I would change the stereotypes about us being troublemakers. Some young people are troublemakers, but that's probably because they want to be seen. But not everyone's like that because they've actually had the chance to be seen.
What future aspirations do you hold?
I want to go into uni. It's always been a dream of mine.
I think I want to cook when I'm older.
That in the future he'll still be able to get all the help that he needs.
I aim to be the youngest fireman in Wales. The reason I want to be a firefighter is to help other people.
I just want to be the best man I can be. But for him, I just want him to be a happy and healthy baby.
If you could give advice to adults about how to talk to kids, what would you say? Okay, hold on. Gotta think. Think. I would say the adults to try and get to know the children more so they understand their feelings.
I think, to be honest, professional support, I think they just need to listen to parents.
The adults should be approachable because we want to feel heard.
Be nice to people. Don't try and do harmful things, try and do good things for the world.
Yeah, one thing I would say to the adults in my life is probably a thank you. Yeah, just for being there.
So now that you've heard our stories,
You've seen our lives.
now ask yourself,
Are you listening?
because this isn't just a film,
It represents our system,
our hearts.
our future, our turn.
So listen to our voices,
Listen.
listen,
Listen.
listen to us.
Listen to us.
Our voice matters.
Our voice matters.
So that's the film, and I'm sure you'll agree. You know, it's a very, very powerful film that was created with the voices of the children and young people at the heart of it. But obviously, we work within a system, so that's an also important thing just to speak about. So we've in CTM we've developed a framework which we've called the Golden Thread, and it's to enable and facilitate stronger and more sustainable partnerships. We work within the system together as partners with our communities, and it's so important that we build that trust, align around a shared purpose, and create enabling environments to enable this culture change, so we can do what our children and young people need us to do as part of the strategy. So one side of that is about building trust and relationships, and on the other side of that is accountability, and at the center of that is the culture change that we need to create, really. And what the Golden Thread does, as an analogy, it recognises individuals as active contributors to change. So each person has the skills, knowledge and value, whether they're a young person, a parent, a carer, a frontline a professional, a senior member of staff. But when woven together, we can create a more equitable region, and that consistent approach to engagement, representation and accountability. So how do we measure impact? So our impact will be measured through the delivery and oversight of the Cwm Tacmagara Regional Children's Board. The board will monitor progress against strategic aims and annually review whether priorities are still correct through working with children and families, as well as reviewing the partnership data as well. And on an annual basis, the Regional Partnership Board will oversee that progress. And just to say as well, before I hand over to Stacey, that we are looking at representation at the moment on our children's board, and we're just looking at the structure to align with the themes within the strategy to ensure that we are accountable and making sure we're driving towards that change together. So I'll just hand over to Stacey now. Thank you.
Thank you, Beck. So what does this mean for Merthyr? Obviously, when we were developing the whole heart, whole system, we didn't want another strategy for people to adhere to. So we were quite mindful when we were developing the ambitions, based on what obviously service users and professionals were telling us, to align to what you're currently doing. So nothing's new within the strategy. It's just aligning as a region, as a health board, how we can all start working together to create that whole system approach to better support our families. So if you go to the next slide, what I've done here, I've just given a bit of a snapshot of how within Merthyr the strategy aligns with some of the other areas. So as you can see here, ambition 1, you can see how it aligns then with your children's strategy and where that aligns with your current legislation and what you need to be adhering to. So the slides will be shared, so I won't spend too much time on this, but what I wanted to just really emphasize is it shouldn't be an additional piece of work. It should just be a mechanism how we can work better together. Next slide, please, Beck. So the NEST, as Nia mentioned, the NEST has been embedded into the whole development and the whole strategy in itself. And what the NEST is a mental health and wellbeing framework developed and co-developed with Welsh Government. And I just wanted to touch upon that quickly, because what in the next slide I'm going to emphasise is how well Merthyr is doing in regards to their NEST. So yeah, the NEST is just embedded throughout the whole strategy, and this is just a bit of a quick slide on saying what the NEST is. The next slide really just emphasises of how the NEST framework can really pull together all the key national drivers And you can have a quick look at that, and that just shows you how this nest mechanism can be the main driver to pulling all these frameworks together, all these different areas, and how we can work better together as a system. So the next slide is just a quick snapshot in showing you how far Merthyr has come in regards to their nest. They really are flying the flag for Nest. We've been recognised. They have been recognised by Welsh Government, and I got a quote in the next slide. They've been the first in Wales to complete their Children and Communities grant. They are going to be the first in Wales to complete their Children's Services self-assessment, and that has been done now and has been shared with CIW as well, I believe. And they will be, and hopefully be, the first council yourselves to complete a cooperative parenting nest self-assessment. So that just shows the commitment you are, as a local authority, and how far you have come. And that is recognised as well. And if you go to the next slide, please, Beck. There's the recognition in itself. So as a region, we need to complete a self-assessment as us as a children's board. And when we completed that, obviously we emphasise how well in Merthyr you are doing, and this has been recognised by Welsh Government then as well. So huge congratulations, and thank you so much for the support in rolling this out. Yeah.
Yeah, and then just to finish off very quickly, we thought it might be interesting, in addition to the strategy and the promotion of the work to develop across the region, we thought you might be interested to know, with regards to the regional integration funding, the level of support from the regional partnership board, and there's over £288,000 being invested each year for children's services directly into Merthyr, which includes services into your Can My Barbie service, emotional wellbeing support service, supporting youth and workforce around social care model of practice, and a contribution as an allocation to a regional contract, which is a children looked after specialist therapy support service as well. And then final slide, before we move on to any questions, thank you. Just as an indication again, further support from the regional partnership and through Welsh Government funding streams. The bottom section there highlights the level of investment, around £4 million come via the region to support your development, to support the Eliminate Profit agenda and developing children's residential homes, in particular your Plantation Close Children's Home, Daisy House, and your flagship property, which is fantastic, as I'm sure you've all visited, your Thomastown House property as well. So I think that concludes our presentation, and we'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Nia, Stacey and Rebecca, for that presentation. Do we have any questions then, please? No questions? No? Any comments then, please? Is Geraint Thomas, is that a question or a comment?
Both, Madam Mayor, both if I
Okay.
can.
Yeah,
I'll link
yeah.
it together. Okay, so
Okay,
yeah, just
okay.
thank you very much for the presentation, and my request is if the strategy can be shared with all councillors so we can have a good read of it all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lisa Mitten, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As Children's Champion for Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council, I just wanted to thank you both for this presentation this evening, and especially the videos, very insightful. And like I've said before to our youth forum, etc., and I was just saying this week in my education scrutiny, it's called aspirational scrutiny, there is nothing better than hearing it from the people's voices themselves. And so, seeing people, and young people especially, convey that on the video is of paramount importance. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Mitten. Is there any more comments, please? No. Thank you, everyone, for the presentation, and we'll continue now on to the next agenda. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Right now, Matt, to go, yeah? Okay, agenda item 6, a notice of motion. Excuse me, Specialist Palliative Care in Cwmtaf Morgannwg University Health Board. Councillor Andrew Barry, can I invite you to address the council, please?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. In June last year, we were talking of the inability of the Health Board to recruit positions related to the acute stroke unit at Prince Charles Hospital. Subsequently, we have had to endure what we are told is a temporary move to the Royal Glam. As highlighted within the notice of motion, presentation to the Health Scrutiny Committee on Tuesday, the 10th of February this year. The temporary move to Royal Glam has now been extended by a further 6 months. And here we are again, within a year, in a consultation period to establish now whether we are to lose the end-of-life palliative care unit at Ysbyty Cwm Cynnan in Mountain Ash, centralising care at Llantrisant and Bridgend. And centralising it there will leave a void available to end-of-life care within the Northern Valleys, leaving residents travel to visit over many miles in a public transport system that's not ideal, in very inaccessible areas, problems adding to what will be an already unbearably stressful time for families. I'm sure the Chamber concurs with the sentiments of the Cwm Taf Morgannwg University Health Board when they say they're engaging with and listening to our communities. We are in this, albeit virtual chamber, Reform councillors, independent councillors, Labour councillors. We are the representatives of those communities, from Treharris and Bedlinog in the south to Kevin and Ponstick in the north. The Health Board use statements such as evidence shows. So bring that evidence, sit in front of this chamber and convince the representatives of the residents of Merthyr Tydfil that you are making the right decision. Lydon Bevan once said, the NHS will last as long as there are folk left with the faith to fight for it. And we will fight for it. The request, Madam Mayor, is we ask the leader again to request the Health Board address the Council at the earliest opportunity to give a comprehensive update on the situation and the measures being taken to address these critical issues to avoid what the public perceive as the dismantling of the NHS in front of our very eyes. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Barry. And we'll take that to... No. Oh, sorry. Councillor, do we have a seconder, please?
Just Councillor David Hughes got in.
All right. Councillor David Hughes, please.
Yeah, I'd like to second that, Madam Mayor. Thank
Do you have anything else to add, Councillor Hughes?
No, I think Councillor Barry said enough.
Okay, thank you. Right then, want questions, yes? Questions then, please? Councillor Anne Williams-Price.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to propose an amendment to the last paragraph. The amendment would be to add full stop after critical issues and remove all wording thereafter. The action called for, writing to the Health Board to raise concerns residents are sharing with us, is appropriate, and all members are aware that the leader has already written to the Health Board on the 17th of February, clearly set out opposition to the closure of the specialist care unit. I have no objection to supplementing that with a request to address the Council by the Health Board. However, the original wording goes further than necessary and risks framing local operational pressures as though they were a reflection of the NHS as an institution, and the NHS is one of our most valued public services. Although not without challenges, our residents rely on it every day, supported by dedicated staff, and our language should not seek to undermine the value of this public service.
Okay.
Just on to second.
Do we have a seconder then, please?
Happy second, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Carter.
Councillor Barry would like to reply to that.
Councillor Barry, would you like to respond, please?
Yeah, happy to amend, Madam Mayor. The essence of it is we need the NHS to come to this chamber and justify what is about to happen. Thank you.
Are we happy with that? Yes. So do we go to the vote now then? Or, yeah.
Can we just be clear now that Councillor Barry has confirmed that it's full stop after critical issues, the rest is disagreement?
Yeah. Okay. So just to confirm, Councillor Barry, we ask the leader to again request the Health Board addresses the Council at the earliest opportunity to give a comprehensive update on the situation and the measures being taken to address these critical issues. Is that right?
That's fine, Madam Mayor.
Lovely, thank you.
Someone to do.
Right, you need someone to move now.
Oh, yeah, good.
Did you have a question?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Councillor Barry, just one quick question, if that's okay, and a comment in it. That in paragraph paragraph 1 and paragraph 6. This is called Bro Taff Morgannwg Health Board. Is that meant to be that, or is it meant to be Cwmtaff? Just quickly, so Cwmtaff, yeah.
Yeah,
It's Cwmtaff.
Jumping between screens, Councillor Carney. Yes, absolutely. Whatever.
We're happy for us to change that, yeah, as well, yeah.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay. Any further questions, please? No? Any comments then, please? Councillor, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. After spending a few £100 million on reconfiguring the services at Prince Charles Hospital, it now seems to me that the philosophy of the Cwmtaff Morgannwg Health Board is to move as many services as they can by shipping them to either the Royal Glamorgan Hospital or the Princess Hospital of Wales in Bridgend. Stroke, vascular surgery, and others have moved out of Prince Charles Hospital. Now they seem to me to want to move the 8 palliative care beds from Mountain Ash Hospital to the Royal Glamorgan. So a much needed care service is to be allegedly going to be moved out of Prince Charles Hospital, out of Mountain Ash Hospital. Palliative care is mainly, not always, used by the older patients and their family members, or again, are likely to be elderly people. They then have to try and work out as to how many buses they will need to get to either Royal Glamorgan Hospital or the one in Bridgend. And depending on where they live, they will have either an over 50 to 60 mile round trip. Where is this going to end? The leader of this council has written twice asking for representatives of the health board, I presume that's either the chair or the chief executive or both, if they can attend the Merthyr Town Council full council meeting and address the concerns of our constituents. And I understand to date there's been no reply received as to when they're going to come before us. The good people of Merthyr Tydfil and other valleys deserve better from Cwmtaff Morgannwg Health Board. And before long, it seems to me that Prince Charles Hospital is very quickly but surely heading to be the largest cottage hospital in Wales.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Declan Salmon, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just two quick comments. Many members will already know or be aware that there's a drop-in session tomorrow regarding the future of palliative care in Cwmtaff Morgannwg. It's between 11 AM and 2 PM tomorrow, Link Seymour Street, Aberdare. And the second comment then is just following on from Councillor Clive Jones. Councillor Paul Leighton and myself also wrote a letter, and we haven't received a response or an acknowledgement either, to be honest. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And just to tap on that before I come to the other councillors, we had the councillor group into the parlour last night, and the concerns were real, and the stories were real. So they even done a route themselves just to see how difficult it would be. That's without having to have chemo and that. So yeah, totally on board. Councillor Geraint-Thomas, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I totally agree with the comments of Councillor Clive Jones, and I will be at the Link tomorrow. Why we can't have a consultation in Merthyr as well is beyond me, but yeah, I will be at Aberdare tomorrow. Okay. I believe there's no current political representation from Merthyr Tydfil on the Cwmtaff Morgannwg Health Board, which isn't very good. And also, earlier on this evening, really, I saw that post from our communications team about the Marmot Nation for Health Equity. And I just can't believe it. You know, health equity. Everything is being drained from the valleys down to the M4. Everything, all our services, right? All the valleys, the Glamorgan valleys, the Gwent valleys are being drained of our health service. What is going on, right? Someone's got to be held accountable at Welsh Government level to say, come on, guys, pull your socks up. People up the northern end of the valleys have got the worst mortality rates in the country. Surely the health services need to be where the people are dying of a young age. That's my comment, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Councillor Mitten, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you to Andrew and David for bringing this notice of motion again to this council tonight, and also to echo what Declan and Mayor Geraint and of course Clive has already said, but to reiterate that the independent group brought 2 notices of motion. They brought a second one because after the first one, as the leader is Clive quite rightly pointed out, and with efforts from the leader as well, and all people represented here tonight, we've been asking for Cwmtaf to sit in front of us in full council and give us a full and reasonable explanation, not only why there is a lack of consultation with the people in Merthyr Tydfil and wider, but why they are taking services from under our nose even without consultation. So we have this one happening tomorrow with regards to this area. The fact that it's not happening within the Merthyr Tydfil borough and wider is absolutely appalling. And I would call upon the leader post this meeting to write to the Minister, Jeremy Miles, to take action with this health board. It is not good enough. They have failed now on 3 times, and on your request as well, leader, they have failed to answer those queries and turn up. We gave them grace when they said they needed to do the numbers and the data and the research. That grace is now 18 months later, and it's unacceptable. Thank you all. Appreciate it. And it's nice to see everybody working together. Diolch.
Thank you, Councillor Mitten. Councillor David Isaacs, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I fully endorse the council contacting the health board for them to explain their actions over the last 18 months to 2 years. I have been in meetings in the past where they have said there was no intention to create an M4 corridor for health, but yet again, by removing the stroke, palliative care and other specialised services, I believe by stealth, that is exactly what they are doing. I wonder, after all the money spent on the upgrade of Prince Charles, which is in the cost of millions, will we be left with the best, and I quote, and I acknowledge with Clive, the best equipped cottage hospital in the country? It's just not on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Isaacs. Councillor Scott Thomas, please.
Couldn't find my mic there, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I just want to agree with the comments shared by both Councillor Clive Jones and Councillor David Isaac as well.
Thank you. Councillor, nobody else? No? Councillor Brown Carter, then, please.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Thank you all for your comments this evening, and it's not over the last 18 months that I've agreed with Councillor Barry and Councillor Hughes, but you know, I wholeheartedly agree with this notice of motion. Merthyr Tydfil has been left out in the surrounding areas yet again, and it is appalling. To look back to where we were with the stroke unit, I wrote many months ago with regards to that. The reply came back that they didn't feel they needed to attend at this particular moment in time because it's temporary, etc., etc., etc. I wrote 2 weeks ago to, as you're all acutely aware, with the letter because you all got copied in. I didn't like Declan and Paul have written as well, among others. But I don't expect a reply until the consultation is over, but an acknowledgement would have been good. 2 weeks before that, I attended a meeting with myself, the Chief Executive, and other leaders and Chief Executives with the Chair, Jonathan Morgan, and Paul Mears, the Chief Executive, like we do every month, where I outlined my severe concerns with regards to this decision. you know, the severe palliative care unit may be in Mountain Ash, but it affects the people of Merthyr Tydfil. Should it be in Mountain Ash, I would prefer it to be in Prince Charles and Merthyr Tydfil, where it's probably needed more, because that would service the whole heads of the valley, where people come from across the whole heads of the valley, and also South Powys as well. So yes, I will be writing, and Councillor Barry, if you don't mind, you and Councillor Hughes, I'll be taking quite a lot of what you said in the motion and using it in the letter, and wording it and sending it off. And I've got no objections, Councillor, to writing to Jeremy Miles as well. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Carter. Okay, then we take that to the vote then.
Okay, so could all councillors in agreement with the request please raise their hands? Marvellous. If you could lower those, please. Any councillor not in agreement, please raise their hand. And any councillor wishing to abstain, please raise their hand. That is carried, Chair.
Lovely, thank you. Okay, then we move on to agenda item 7. Pay policy statement 2026-27. To consider the report of the Director of Governance and Resources, Councillor Brown Carter said, and invite you to address the council, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report presents the Council's pay policy statement for 26-27 financial year. Under the Localism Act 2011, local authorities are required to prepare, approve and publish a pay policy statement each year, setting out the Council's approach to pay across the workforce with particular regard to senior pay and the lowest paid employees. The purpose of the statement is to promote transparency, accountability and fairness in local pay arrangements. As required by legislation, the statement is reviewed annually and must be approved by full council and published by the 31st of March. The pay policy statement for 26-27 is attached at Appendix 1 and has been developed in line with the Public Sector Staff Commission's guidance on transparency of senior pay in the devolved Welsh public sector, taking account of relevant national and local pay developments. Madam Mayor, I'm happy to move the recommendation 2.1, which reads, the pay policy 26-27 implementation date the 1st of April 26 be approved.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder, please?
Chair, I'm seconding the motion.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to questions then, please. No questions? No. We'll go on to comments then, please. No comments? Okay, then we take it to the vote then, please.
Okay, so could all councillors in agreement with the recommendation please raise their hands? Okay, if you could lower those, please. Is any councillor not in agreement, please raise their hand. And any councillor wishing to abstain, please raise their hand. That motion is now reached, Chair.
Lovely, thank you. I believe we have several clearing interests here, so yeah, that's right. Does agenda item 8, Acne Carriage Taxi and Private Hire, Councillor Barry, Councillor Thomas, Councillor Lewis, are they all left, have they? Yeah, lovely, thank you. Okay, agenda item 8, Acne Carriage Taxi and Private Hire PHV licence fees. To consider the report of the Director of Governance and Resources, Councillor Brown Carter, could I invite you to address the council, please?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. As members will be aware, Merthyr Tydfil has not increased taxi licensing fees since 2017. For almost a decade, this council has made a conscious decision to protect the trade, recognising the significant challenge drivers and operators have faced, whether through the COVID-19 recovery period or the volatility in fuel prices. During that time, while many other authorities have periodically upgraded their fees, we have kept ours amongst the lowest in Wales as part of a commitment to supporting local businesses. However, the benchmarking exercise undertaken by officers now clearly shows that our fees no longer reflect the reasonable cost of administrating, enforcing and maintaining a safe and compliant licensing system. The proposal before members today is not about profit. Indeed, the law prevents that. It is about full cost recovery, ensuring the service is sustainable and that public safety standards can continue to be upheld. The report outlines the new fee structure, which would take effect from the 1st of May 26, subject to statutory consultation. If no objections are received, the revised fees will be implemented. If objections are raised, they will be brought back to full council for consideration. This is a balanced and responsible step that recognises both the historic support we have provided to the trade and the financial realities of running a statutory licensing service. Madam Mayor, I therefore move the recommendations as outlined in paragraphs 2.1 to 2.3 of this report.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. We take into questions then, please. Any questions? No? Any comments then, please? Councillor Lee Davis, please.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, 2 seconds. Yeah, question regarding enforcement. When was the last nighttime enforcement?
Hang on a minute. Hang on, Lee. We did move on to comments. I don't know if you were.
Well, we've passed questions, Chair.
Yeah.
We passed questions. Sorry, Councillor Davis. Okay. Councillor David Hughes, is it a comment you have, please?
I had a question, sorry. I did put my hand up, but you were not. Sorry.
Sorry, everyone. I think there's a bit of a delay, so
Because their hands didn't go up.
because their hands didn't go up in time. Yeah. Okay.
Are you happy to allow questions?
I'm going to ask. Are you happy to allow questions? Yeah. Okay. We go back to Councillor Lee Davis then, please.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Okay. When was the last nighttime enforcement operation or test purchasing exercise? When was it carried out by licensing officers in relation to licensed taxis and unlicensed private hire vehicles operating within the county borough?
Okay.
Thanks for that question, Councillor Davis. I believe Joe Baber's on. Joe, can you come in here, please?
Sorry, my camera took ages to switch on then. In terms of nighttime, Councillor Davis, I'd have to look that up. I don't know for nighttime. We do at least once a quarter. We do a taxi enforcement operation, but in terms of a nighttime one, I'd have to look that up and get back to you. Sorry.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Can I just follow up, Madam Mayor, with another question? Would that be okay?
Did Paul want to come in before that? Before Lee goes on to another question?
Yes, certainly, Chair. Apologies, Councillor Davis. I would have put more detail in the report had I been aware members wanted to have a information report on the work by licensing. What I'm happy to do, Councillor Davis, in your capacity as Chair, is bring a report to scrutiny of the work of the licensing committee, if you think that would be of benefit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, my other question's quite similar. Given ongoing concerns raised by by residents about unlicensed vehicles, fare negotiation and drivers not using taxi meters, as the leader went through last week, will the council commit to reintroducing proactive enforcement measures, such as test purchasing or applying for hire operations? So yeah, I think that would be good to bring to scrutiny.
Yeah, more than happy to bring a retrospective report in terms of the work that's been undertaken, Councillor Davis, and include within that our future plans. Obviously, that would be tempered with what we can put in the public domain in terms of future operations. But I'm more than happy to bring that to a scrutiny report or circulate a report to members outside of this meeting.
That'd be great. Thanks both. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Councillor Michelle Simmons, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do have a couple of questions, if that's okay. So, has a specific rural impact assessment been undertaken for wards such as Bedlinog and Trelewis? And if not, why are we being asked to consult on figures before understanding the potential disproportionate effect on rural communities?
Thanks for the question, Councillor Simmons. Paul, can you come in on that one, please?
Yeah. Certainly, integrated impact assessment has been carried out for the report, Councillor Simmons, and I'm more than happy to revisit that report. In terms of assessment of the fees, they would have to be proportionate across the whole of the county borough. So it wouldn't be a position where we could lower fees in one particular area to cover another. The fees will be set corporately. But in terms of the integrated impact assessment, it is attached within the report. I drafted that and I didn't raise anything in terms of a specific region, in terms of the protected characteristics.
Okay, thank you. So a question on the consultation. Will the consultation explicitly examine service sustainability in rural areas, or is it focused solely on the cost recovery? And does the authority then accept that if operators withdraw from rural routes due to the cost pressures, residents in villages could be left with no viable taxi provision at all?
I would be happy to include that in the survey, Councillor Simmons. As it stands, yes, it is based on the fees. Nothing has gone live as yet, but if members feel that that would be beneficial to include within the survey, I'm happy to include that.
That's lovely, Paul. Thank you. And my final question, Madam Mayor, is has any modelling been undertaken on the likely knock-on impact to passenger tariffs? And can officers provide real-world examples of what this could mean for a typical rural journey? For example, a return trip from Bydlinogo to Lewis to Prince Charles Hospital or Merthyr Town Centre, please.
In terms of the a tariff increase, that would be a gift of the trade to come and request a tariff increase. So if obviously these prices were increased as proposed within the report, it is within the gift of the trade to come back and ask for review of a tariff increase. What we would be able to do with the tariff increase request is bring that before council, and then I could provide the modelling within that report of how that would impact residents.
That's lovely, Paul. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor David Hughes, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's about page 42 on the chart 1.6. The price, the increase in prices. Now, if my math is correct, pardon me, the light's gone off. And you save money. Yeah, as the percentage is, my percentage is what I work out, there's 13%, 21%, 29%, but the last figure is 192% increase. Now, we have inflationary policy. I know it was 5 years since we increased the prices last, but 192%, a massive increase in price. Can I ask why we haven't been using the inflationary policy, which is council have passed through?
Certainly happy to explain that for you, Councillor Hughes. In terms of licensing charges, unfortunately, we can't just apply an inflationary rate. The legislation states that the council can recover the costs of running a licensing service. So it has to, and this has been the delay in bringing the report, we have to benchmark across the work that we do and turn that into a cost recovery model. We use an agreed always template for doing that. So unfortunately, we can't preload fees by stating we'll increase inflationary. It has to go through that costing exercise every time we bring a report. In terms of the private hire operator licence, I concede, yes, it is a considerable increase from what was previously, but I would temper that by stating we were probably vastly undercharging historically. If members look to the comparison chart attached to the report, you can see out of step we were in Merthyr Tydfil historically on the private hire operator fee setting, and probably what we weren't including within that cost recovery toolkit is the full costings of what we can recover in providing the service. The figure that's now before members today is more reflective and in comparison to other authorities is consistent.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Councillor Claire Jones, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll address this to either the leader or Paul. As Councillor Hughes has just stated, this is nearly an increase of 190%, the uplift of over 259. It's a considerable amount, and I gotta say, I think taxi drivers are going to struggle. You know, all of you've stated COVID, then that happened, and now we're going to have an uplift of 190%. So with that, how are we going to stop illegal taxi drivers and the potential Uber coming into Merthyr? Because people are not going to pay the fees, because as you very well know, there are people going around driving, and I just think we are going to have an issue. People are not going to want to pay that licence fee, and people are getting away. And as Councillor Lee Davis has stated, about the last time you've gone out, surely you should be doing this as well and finding how many people are going out and not putting people on. They haven't got meters, or they're just picking people up for the odd tenner or whatever. I think that's going to go off the Richter scale. Also, Paul, I've got to ask you, you say about the extra money, what are you going to do with it? Because clearly, I'd like to know what, as a council, we're going to do with it, because the taxi drivers are not going to have that in their pocket, and our constituents are not going to have that money in their pockets to pay a taxi, because things are going to go up. So, yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just wondering if they can be answered, please.
Yeah, happy to go through those, Councillor Jones. In terms of the work undertaken by the licensing authority, I'm more than happy, as stated previously. I'll bring that to a scrutiny report. Members obviously receive what we call the quarterly public protection update. That gives you information on the work undertaken by the department. There is considerable work taken by the department, and there have been a number of drivers, vehicle operators who've been brought through licensing committee and an onward court. So I'm more than happy to provide a report of the work done by the licensing team. In terms of the fee setting, as outlined in the report, legislation allows us to full cost recover. If we don't full cost recover, then the balance is actually picked up by council taxpayers through the central funding. So what we don't pass on to the trade is actually absorbed by our communities. The option to council is in terms of legislation, we can pass that charge fully onto the trade, or as we've done up until this date, our public have absorbed some of those charges in order that the trade can have a cheaper a licence than full cost recovery. The private hire operator licence, the only point I would make on that, Councillor Jones, it's a 5-year licence, so it's not an annual charge. It's spread over the 5 years, the licence. So it's a one-off fee for a 5-year licence. And in terms of the numbers, that is not going to reflect on the individual drivers or vehicle owners. We have a limited number of operators, so that will be people who are running a number of vehicles as private hire. So it's not going to be every driver will have to apply for a private hire operator's licence. In terms of legal activity, as mentioned, I'm happy to provide you details of the work that we've undertaken, of the individuals that we've taken through licensing and the court system for non-compliance. And the only other thing I would temper is I wouldn't use the word Uber in terms of illegal operation. Uber is a business that is properly licensed. In terms of Merthyr, they don't currently hold a private hires operator's licence, so they don't operate in Merthyr as licensed by Merthyr. But surrounding areas do have private hire operator licences for Uber. So I hope that covers the points there, Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Madam Mayor. But what I meant with Uber, whether if how it's come about, what I said is incorrect. It's people are going to come in, they're going to see there's going to be an opportunity. So how are we going to assist our private operator taxi drivers? It's not softening the blow, saying it's going to be over 5 years, Paul. People are struggling. You know, we are at the moment. It just seems we're all dealing with the aftermath of COVID, and come April, the business rates are going to go up because of the aftermath of COVID again. And this is another thing. And it's just
Jones. Have we got a question for Paul? Do we have a question for Paul, please?
Well, no, I'll leave it for comment.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Geraint Thomas, please.
Hi, Paul. when you look at the appendix 1, you see the tables there, you can see that Merthyr now is well out the step with our neighbouring authorities throughout Wales with the charges for licensed vehicles and taxis. Yeah. But, you know, and I get, you know, we have to get in step, but it's the timing for me. So is it a possibility for a license holder, an operator's license holder, especially when it's almost 200% rise, could that be paid in increments over the 5-year period, or does it all have to be paid in the one go?
Currently, it's all paid in the one go. Again, I would be happy to take from the meeting and discuss with legal what the options are, whether that could be staggered over the 5 years as an option for trade. Obviously, I can see where that may be beneficial, but I would have to take legal advice on that, in terms of the legislation. Usually, the fee has to be paid in advance. But yeah, it's certainly something we could look at. And if it is able to be introduced, I can obviously bring that back for members, should there be objections to the fees to consider as part of the overall report.
And if I can ask a supplementary on that as well, because obviously in 5 years, if we just paid the 200% up now, 192%, as Councillor Hughes mentioned, now that would just bring us into line for this year, right? So I think obviously you'd have to build in some extra fees if you want to get to be there in 5 years. But I think to soften the blow for the trade, you know, if that rise was over that 5-year period in increments, you know, in yearly payments, I think it would help them at the moment due to the cost of business crisis, really, not just the cost of living crisis.
Yeah, I think we are going to be determined by the legislation. A lot of the licensing legislation does require the fees are paid on application. So again, it's not something I can promise we can do, because obviously we are tied by the legislation, but it's certainly something I can look into, Councillor Thomas.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Councillor James Scrivens, please.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Just a quick question. Obviously, as the current rates stand, there is quite a massive disproportion, as you can see, within that 5-year operator. Is there, and obviously this is about cost recovery, but is there any evidence to show that where the current costs have been priced, that there's been service growth, or has this literally just been sustaining itself?
In terms of the licensing section itself, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've been static in terms of licensing capacity. And obviously, again, perhaps answering a point from Councillor Jones earlier, any increased income is obviously going to support the licensing service in carrying out a more wider and robust licensing function, as outlined in the original presentation by Councillor Carter. There are concerns being raised, which some of the members have raised, about additional work needs to be carried out, and this money will be reinvested to obviously ensure that we can carry out activities where there is illegal actions taking place.
Okay, and just to supplement that, and then in terms of the businesses themselves that apply, has there ever, in terms of whether the current standings are, has there ever been an increase from the applicants in terms of services being available, or has that remained as it is and we've just been supporting?
I'll probably bring Joe in at this point. In terms of service delivery, we've just been maintaining current levels based on current capacity.
Okay, thanks, Paul.
Okay. Okay. Councillor Jones, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Paul, just looking at the figures on page 42, who decided what increases would be in each of the 4 categories? Because the new driver licence goes up, 3-year licence, £13 a year. The driver renewal goes up £20 a year. The vehicle licence goes up £65 a year when you break them down into per years, and the private hire operator is £52 a year. Who decided that they were the levels? I understand the full cost recovery side of it, but who made the decision of the actual figures?
I'll invite Joe to come in, and Joe can explain what's called the licensing toolkit that's used across the principality. So, Joe, do you want to just give an explanation?
Yeah, certainly. So, Councillor Jones, there's a fees toolkit that's been developed, that's used by all Welsh authorities, and it's basically a series of spreadsheets, and you input data, so you input officer salaries, on costs, the amount of licenses for that type of application. There's basically you outline the process, how long each step of the process takes, which officer does each step and how long it takes them. You input data such as number of complaints, number of committee hearings, number of how much enforcement action is done. There's a whole lot of data that goes into it, and it basically at the end pops out with what the fee should be. And that is how it's calculated. All we do is input the data that we have, and the spreadsheets do the job for us in terms of calculating the fee.
Yeah, I understand a bit of the gross cost of the service, but how does it break down into the different elements of it, of the licenses? New driver renewal, vehicle, private hire. How does it get? Who makes the decision? How much is allocated to each element of it?
So we put that in based on, so the amount, for example, the spreadsheet for drivers, we will put the number of minutes that has been spent on committee, on enforcement, on compliance. We will input how long it takes for a driver application to be processed, and it just generates the fee at the end then.
Right, I think I've got that. Thank you, Joe. And thank you, Paul.
Okay, thank you. No further questions. We go on to comments then, please. Anybody got any comments? Councillor Geraint-Thomas, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and reflecting on the questions and the answers that's been given this evening, I hope, Paul, you can get some answers from legal, and then you can bring in some incremental rises into the into this. Otherwise, I think Councillor Carter will be known as Tum Sean Catty of Merthyr. There's a bit of highway robbery going on here, trying to raise that amount of charges in one single year. So, at this moment in time, I can't vote yes on and support this motion in its current format with these charges. But I hope we get a response from legal, and then when it goes out to the trade, that you have a meeting with the trade, with the taxi drivers, and come to some understanding. But at the moment, I'll be voting no this evening.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Councillor Michelle Simmons, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As a county councillor for Bedlin and Lewis, I represent communities that are already struggle to access taxi provision. We do not have the same transport resilience as urban areas. For many residents, particularly older people, those with health needs and families without access to a car, taxis are not a luxury, they are but essential. Bringing forward fee increases without first presenting clear rural impact evidence, tariff modelling and contingency planning risks placing further pressure on an already fragile service. If operators withdraw from rural routes because they become commercially unviable, the impact will not be theoretical. It will be felt immediately by residents with limited alternatives. Consultation should follow evidence, not precede it. Saying that, I do appreciate Paul's response to my questions this evening and his agreement in adding into the consultation rural considerations and further information to members. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Claire Jones, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I agree with what Councillor Michelle Simmons has just said, and Councillor Thomas. It'll be quite interesting seeing the results of the consultation, but unfortunately at present, with this current amount, I will be voting against, and I would like to hear what the actual private hire taxi drivers have got to say on this, so it'll be very interesting. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Any further comments then, please? No? Yes, Councillor Carter.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Paul, can I thank you and the team, Adam, Joe and the team for the report this evening. We're all aware of the report and the increases and things, and it doesn't sit well with any of us, I don't suppose. But we're in a position now where it's going to go out to consultation. where the taxi drivers and owners will be able to have their say. And I would be absolutely amazed if it doesn't come back to full council before May. So I'm more than comfortable to vote for this tonight based on, I'm sure they will be coming back to us to look at the consultation. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Lisa Mitten, please.
Madam Mayor, that was an accident.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you can't speak anyway. Sorry. We'll take it to the vote then, please.
Okay. So could all councillors in agreement with the recommendation please raise their hands? Okay, could you lower those hands, please? Okay, could all councillors not in agreement please raise their hands? Okay. Okay. And could you lower those, please? And could any councillor wishing to abstain please raise their hand? Okay, thanks. Thank you. That recommendation is carried, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. On to agenda item 9, council tax resolution. Oh, yes, sorry, I did mean to invite them back in, yeah. John's on,
John and Andrew, isn't it?
yeah. Are you getting them back in, yeah?
John's back, yeah.
Okay, lovely, thank you. Agenda item 9, council tax resolution 2026-27. To consider the report of the Director of Finance, Councillor Anna Williams-Price. Can I invite you to address the council, please?
Thank you, Chair. Following last week's special council, where we debated the budget requirement and council tax decision, we now consider the council tax resolution report. Qualifications for each council tax band at section 5. And for members to be aware, due to a rounding error, there are variances of 1p in bands A, C, G and I in the figures listed for Fedlinnog and Trelewis area only. The impact of this is that bands A, C and G are actually 1p less than stated and band I 1p higher. Updates to working papers will be implemented to avoid this issue in future years, and the figures will be circulated through writing to all members via supplementary update to papers. And for clarity, I'd just like to reiterate that for the figures listed for Fedlinnog and Trelewis area only. As required by the Local Government Finance Act 1992, this item lays out all the elements, including the budget requirement and precepts that went into determining the council tax figure. So we'll move the recommendations at 2.1, the formal statutory council tax resolutions 26-27 as outlined in Appendix 1 and summarised in paragraph 5.1 be noted and approved. 2.2, Police and Crime Commissioner for South Wales approved precept for 26-27 of 7683444 for the Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council area be noted. And 2.3, the Fedlinnog and Trelewis Community Council approved precept for 26-27 of 40315 for the Community Council area be noted. Thank you, Chair.
Do you have a seconder, please?
I'll be seconding, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Carter. Go to questions then, please. No questions? One question. Councillor Geraint-Thomas, please.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. At last week's budget setting and council tax setting meeting, where we discussed the budget, obviously the police precept wasn't part of that discussion, and it's now there in this paper this evening. So can I ask whoever represents us now on the Police and Crime Commissioner panel, what kind of debate did they have when it came to the 6.99% rise, and was it agreed unanimously?
Okay, who's on there? Councillor Smith?
Madam Mayor, great, thank you very much. Again, and yeah, I was in the meeting because I was in Ray Thomas's funeral. But I gather that they had a big meeting from 10 o'clock till about 2 o'clock discussing this. And I don't think the Southwood panel agreed with it. So then we could discuss it at the next meeting. So what happened in between now, they okayed it there, I can't answer to you.
Okay,
So
thank you, Bill. No,
I
thank you,
will
Bill.
find out because the whole panel was up in arms for the 7%.
I can imagine. I can only imagine. Okay, thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Councillor David Hughes, please.
It was the same question. It was the same question, sorry.
Okay,
That's
thank you,
Councillor.
Councillor Hughes. Any further questions then, please? Nope. Any comments then, please? No.
Please.
Councillor Lisa Mitten, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, undoubtedly, I made some comments regarding council tax last week, but I significantly want to make comments regarding the police precept as well this week. So, you know, for us and many residents, we fully recognise the importance of a well-resourced police service, but I must express my deep concern about the proposed 6.99% increase to the policing precept. In Merthyr Tydfil, our council tax levels, as I outlined last week, are already among the highest relative to household income, and this is a further rise, placing unacceptable burden on people who are facing real financial crisis. We know that families are dealing with rising living costs, energy bills, and everyday essentials becoming harder to afford. And I'm not necessarily meaning there our people who get some support. I am meaning, you know, people, working class people who are trying to keep their heads above water are struggling with the level of council tax. For many, council tax is already at the limit of what they can realistically afford, and adding almost 7% on top, no matter how justified this service need be, feels extortionate to residents who simply can't absorb yet another increase. There is a wider principle at stake here. For me, core policing policy, apologies for the dog, core policing policy should be funded fairly and sustainably by central government, not pushed back into local taxpayers who have at least flexibility. Precepts were never meant to become a primary funding mechanism for essential services, yet year after year they are being used to fill national funding gaps. This is neither fair nor sustainable. I want to be absolutely clear that this is not a criticism of our police officers. My sister is one of those, because of the very vital work that they do. It is a concern about the mechanism being used to fund them and the disproportionate pressure it places on communities like ours. Tonight, I'm asking that we reflect the reality facing residents, that this level of increase is simply unaffordable, and that strong representation should be made to both Welsh and UK government. The policing needs to be properly supported through national funding and not continually placed on the shoulders of local households who are already struggling. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for listening.
Thank you, Councillor Mitten. Councillor Geraint Thomas, please.
No, well said, Lisa. And I just want to add, you know, for anybody that's going to be knocking the doors in Merthyr Tydfil for the upcoming Senedd elections, right? The local health service, the local council tax, and your local police precept and lack of policing in our community. That's going to be the big three things that you're going to be faced with when you're knocking those doors. So, you know, have a look at your manifestos and make sure, you know, that they're up to scratch when you come around Merthyr Tydfil. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Any further comments, please? No. And we'll take it to the vote then, please.
So could all councillors in agreement with the recommendation please raise their hands? If you could lower those, please. And if all councillors not in agreement, please raise their hands. Okay. And if you could lower these, please. Close, please. Sorry. And any councillor wishing to abstain, raise their hands. That recommendation is carried, Chair.
Yeah, thank you. Agenda item 10, ICT Applications Team Succession Plan. To consider the report of the Director of Finance, Councillor Anna Williams-Price, can I invite you to address the Council, please?
Thank you, Chair. This report sets out a proposal to strengthen resilience and continuity of the Council's ICT applications team. As members will be aware, the team provide a vital role in supporting, maintaining and developing the Council's core business critical systems such as payroll and HR, revenues and benefits, planning, elections and various digital platforms used every day by staff and residents alike. The daily work carried out by this team ensures a smooth running of essential processes, including our back submissions, direct debit, refund system updates, and the secure transfer and reconciliation of financial data. While the team has been remarkably stable for more than a decade, there is now an emerging workforce risk with retirements on the horizon combined with the highly specialised nature of the skills required. This report proposes the creation of a new ICT applications engineer post to enable a planned and effective skills knowledge transfer over the coming years. And the investment will protect business critical services, support organisational resilience, reduce long-term costs by limiting reliance on agency support, and help to ensure that departments across the council can continue to deliver their statutory duties effectively. So I will move the recommendation of 2.1. The additional budget requirement outlined in paragraph 4.1 of the report be approved. Chair.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Maria.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to questions then, please. Any questions? Councillor Geraint-Thomas, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I don't disagree that this is an essential post and it's needed. But can I ask the cabinet member for finance, why wasn't this in last week's budget? We're only a week on, and yet we're increasing our budget already.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. And yes, I accept that the ideal would be the business case was presented in time on a timeline which aligned with the budget, so that we could appropriately forecast for the year ahead. However, similarly, I do not want to disincentivize heads of service from bringing forward critical issues from within their area at any time, because this flexible and future focused mindset is needed within our organisation. But I accept your point in general.
Okay, Councillor Thomas. Councillor David Hughes, please.
Yes, I agree that this is a post that's well needed. However, with the people who've been made redundant, I don't mean that is over the last couple of weeks, is there anybody with these skills that are in threat of redundancy that could be bumped into this post?
I wouldn't be able to answer that, Chair. I'm not sure if Hannah is online to provide a HR perspective.
Hannah's online, yeah. Hannah?
Yeah, I can come in there. We do have people facing redundancy, and if the post is approved, we can have a look at the skill set of some of those staff to look at putting that on the redeployment list. But they would have to meet the essential criteria.
Yeah, I agree like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Andrew Barry, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Where are we proposing this money comes from?
Councillor Barry, as stated, it will be a growth item outside of our budget requirements agreed. So we would have to manage that as an in-year overspend. And Craig has just appeared on the screen.
Craig Flynn, do you want to come in with that, Craig, please?
The portfolio member beat me to it. Yeah, that was clear that it would be an approved overspending year. As members would be aware, we identified £3 million as additional demands within the assumptions for our medium-term financial planning. So that would be one area that would be drawn from those additional demands for future years, but it would be an approved overspend in current year.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Barry. Thank you, Craig. Any further questions? No. Any comments then, please? No. We'll take to the vote then,
Okay,
please.
so could all councillors in agreement with the recommendation please raise their hands? Okay. If you could lower those hands, please. All councillors not in agreement, please raise their hands. And any councillor wishing to abstain, raise their hands. That recommendation is carried, Chair.
Thank you. Agenda item 11. Merthyr Tydfil Replacement Local Development Plan 2016 to 2031 Review Report. Consider the report of the Director of Neighbourhood Services, Deputy Leader, Councillor David Jones. Could I invite you to address the Council, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report seeks full council approval of the Merthyr Tydfil Replacement Local Development Plan 2016 to 2031 Review Report, which recommends that the planning policy section follow the full revision procedure in preparing the second replacement LDP. A review of the adopted LDP has found that whilst many aspects of the plan are performed effectively, certain aspects are not delivering as expected. These are particularly around housing and employment land, and as such, these need to be reassessed. Considerable changes introduced since 2020 highlight that certain LDP policies and allocations require a full revision to support the production of the second replacement LDP. Madam Mayor, I move the recommendations at 2.1 and 2.2 that the Merthyr Tydfil Replacement Local Development Plan 2016 to 31 review report be approved, and that commencement of work on the preparation of the second replacement LDP following the full revision procedure be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor, happy to second.
Thank you. Then we go on to questions then, please. Councillor David Hughes, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I ask that we can have a workshop on the secondary LDP when it's ready to put forward? If we can have a workshop, all members workshop.
Yeah, there's not a problem with that, but that's probably some way down the road, Councillor Hughes.
Lovely, thank you, dear.
Thank you. Councillor Andrew Barry, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Can somebody talk me through the methodology, particularly in terms of how we intend to assess demand, how we intend to assess the direction of travel for the economy in Merthyr to look at growth?
Yeah, yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, ultimately there's going to be a significant amount of number crunching that takes place over the first sort of 18 months or so of the plan preparation period. What will happen is we'll effectively go back to start and be writing a new LDP from scratch. So within that first 18 months, there's a significant amount of work that will go on to looking at options for the strategy as to how and where we want the borough to grow. And so there'll be a significant sort of evidence gathering exercise that's undertaken as part of that initial 18 months before options are prepared and produced for council then.
Okay, thank you, Craig.
Thank you. Councillor Geraint-Thomas, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Hi, Craig. Earlier on in the cabinet members' summary of the report, he mentioned that housing was one of the key issues that we've got a problem with. But do you believe, though, that is down to a lot to the COVID years and the problem getting contractors? But because for me at the moment, it seems that things are really hotting up for a housing sector in Merthyr.
Yeah, like I said, I think the fact that we've sort of under-delivered the number of houses in relation to the target for the current plan is down to a number of factors. And like I said, it is one of those issues that's more difficult to control. There's sort of less control over the market. But yeah, there are sort of indications that things have seemed to be picking up just through the numbers of units that have been given planning permission over the last year or two, and sites coming forward. But again, it'll be important to sort of look at everything in the round. And like one of the first things we'll be doing when sort of looking at what the preferred strategy will be is that level of housing growth and what do we actually need and what do we want for the borough.
Thank you, Craig. And Madam Mayor, if you don't mind, I got a supplementary question on the economy as well. I believe things were in motion for the Cardiff Capital Region to produce a strategic development plan, mostly around the economy. Now, is that the plan, and would this LDP have to align to it? Yeah, the LDP will need to align with the SDP for the region. I think the timescales are not going to exactly line up. I think the SDP has got its timetable in place now. I think it's looking at around about a 6-year programme until it gets adopted, whereas our LDP, once work formally commences, is looking at around about a 3.5-year programme. But again, it's one of those things that we will have to take into consideration and make sure that we are aligned with them. Thank you, Craig. And when with the economy, we keep with the economy, and especially around our town centre and our retail offer, that world is changing very, very fast, from, pubs, restaurants to takeaways, etc. So how would we look at the plan and possibly give different A1, A2, A3, A4 usage categories within our town centre from what it currently is? So yeah, ultimately we wouldn't be able to sort of create our own different use classes. We still have to operate within the sort of national policy framework. But what we would be able to do, like I said, if there is evidence to justify sort of varying from that national policy framework, that is something that we could explore during the preparation of the new plan. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you. Councillor Claire Jones, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In page 70 and paragraph 4.2, it refers to, and I quote, the 2021 census data and revised Welsh Government housing and population projections, however, indicate that the population has remained stable and is expected to grow by 1% to 2042. So we've got another census figures to look at, 2031 and 2041. I hesitate to ask this, but how the hell do they work out what the percent is going to be in 16 years' time?
The projections that are referred to in that paragraph are carried out with the Welsh Government and are sort of broken down, but they are only projections. They're only a starting point for the LDP. If we wanted to follow those projections in terms of a strategy, we could do that with justification. If we want to vary from what the projections are showing and look to sort of intervene in terms of policy, then that's what would need to be justified within the evidence base for the new plan itself then. But it's not just, there's a whole host of information that, like I said, in terms of population demographics. There's the latest census data, then there's population projections from Welsh Government, household projections from Welsh Government. We have mid-year estimates for the population figures that then come forward every year as well. So it's not just that one set of data. There's a whole host of information that's considered when preparing the new LDP.
So, additional question: those figures, the figure mentioned there, 1% in 16 years' time, is likely to go up or down?
The latest populations from Welsh Government, I did have a look at this afternoon, as I had a feeling I might have a question from you on this one, Councillor Jones. But essentially what the projections are showing is that the population from 2026 to 2041 in Merthyr will grow by around about 500 or 600 people. So only around 40 people a year. So that's where that sort of 1% figure comes from. But like I said, it is only projection, and it is only one of the pieces of data that we'd look at.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Declan Salmon, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Craig, just a quick one. It is totally understand this is just a review report. Well, hot topic at the moment in every planning meeting, nearly everyone, are HMOs. So I didn't see anything mentioned within the report, and I just wanted to know if you would take on board the location and density of HMOs within areas in any future replacement local development plan and any future monitoring reports, if that's okay, if they could be mentioned or addressed.
Yeah, ultimately, like I said, as we're going back to the drawing board and writing a new plan from scratch, any issues that the evidence shows are necessary to be addressed through planning policy, whether it's HMOs, protecting greenfield sites, any sort of issue, we could look to address that through the policies included with the plan. But I suppose the key thing to emphasise is that there needs to be the evidence and the justification for including those policies within the plan itself.
Yeah, thank you, Craig. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any further questions? We go to comments then, please. Any comments? Councillor Jones, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think we're closing the meeting.
Oh, I got two. Councillor Geraint Thomas, please.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I think this will be a very interesting piece of work post-COVID, understanding how people's lives have changed, how we live differently, and what the future holds. So I'm looking forward, really, to some of the workshops and seeing the report.
Thank you. Councillor Andrew Barry, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. One of the most important documents we produce, looking back, as people have said, at a post-pandemic world and the rapid change in all aspects of our lives, and looking forward to what our economic identity is likely to be. And I think what I don't see in the report is ambition, vision. What worries me is if we default to the Cardiff City deal region, we've had the compound semiconductor facility with millions upon millions of pounds poured into it, and it's very Newport, Monmouth, Cardiff centric, but we see very little of that appear, and I would not be comfortable with handing over our main drive to what happens in the area to Cardiff City deal region as it currently stands. The other frustration going through this report is 71% success is I suppose is okay when you consider what we've been through. But then when you look at page 83 and you start to see green infrastructure statement, net benefit for biodiversity, stronger protection for SSSIs, tree and woodland requirements, nature recovery, TAN 1, TAN 8, TAN 11, TAN 14, TAN 15, TAN 19, you sort of get the idea of why we need to take a bonfire to some of this legislation to get things moving. We do need vision. We do need ambition. We don't need to be strangled by red tape, which is what this document alludes to. There are so many things we have to adhere to. And I think we just need to strip back and get on with the job of seeing what the future of this town is likely to look like, what our ambition for this town is, and then knuckle down and get it all done. It'll be very, very interesting to see what comes out, particularly from the perspective of when we look at retail has morphed out of all recognition, as we've spoken on many occasions in this chamber. Do we need so much? And if we don't need as much, then what is it going to look like? The issue for me as well is we talk about partnership working, and I'm not seeing anything about conversations with the private sector to see where we believe that's going, and that needs to be in this report as well. So vitally important report. I think it's massively over legislated within the guidelines that we have, and we need to input our ambition and future proofing for this report, and we need to get on with it because the clock is ticking. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Right, bring Councillor Jones then, please.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to thank Scrutiny for previous good work and work, both the Scrutiny panel and the councillors in workshops for excellent work that he did around the previous LDP document. The other thing is to encourage all councillors to contribute to the LDP, but especially around their own wards. It is a very important document. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. We'll take it to the vote now then, please.
So could all councillors in agreement with the recommendation please raise their hands? No. Lower those hands, please. Is any councillor not in agreement with the recommendation please raise their hand? And any councillor wishing to abstain, if they could raise their hand, please. Thank you. That's carried, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Agenda item 12, savings policy for care experienced young people. To consider the report of the Director of Social Services, Councillor Louise Mid-Vokes. Can I invite you to address the council, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So tonight I'm bringing forward the proposed savings policy for care experienced young people. At its heart, this is a simple, practical step that lives up to our role as corporate parents, making sure the young people we look after have a fair start as they move into adulthood. So right now we don't have a single consistent approach to building long-term savings for our children looked after. So most parents save as their children grow. Our young people deserve the same security when they turn 18. This policy fills that gap with a clear standard way of saving on their behalf. The proposal is straightforward. A minimum of £5 per week will be saved for every eligible child or young person in our care across all placement types. Those savings will be held in a dedicated share foundation accounts, ring-fenced, centrally tracked and only accessible when the young person reaches 18, removing the barriers carers face in opening accounts and ensuring the money follows the child wherever they live. We'll implement this from the 1st of April 2026. This is about more than money. It's about signalling to our young people that we believe in their future, whether that's a first month's rent, a college course, a car for work, or simply a little breathing space at a pivotal moment in their life. The policy aligns with the wider ethos of supporting care leavers to thrive, and our impact assessment shows strong positives for well-being and tracking socio-economic disadvantage. So moving to the recommendations of the report, the Council commit to ensuring our children looked after have financial security in line with their peers throughout the implementation of a savings policy. And 2.2, the proposed policy in respect of a clear savings process for all children looked after be approved. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder, please?
Second motion.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Any questions, please? Councillor David Hughes, please.
It's just a point of clarity. It's Madam Mayor. Councillor Vogue said all children in care, but the report speaks about looked after children. So it doesn't mention SJO. If it does, I'll have to declare interest.
Apologies. Sorry, Councillor David Hughes.
Thank you.
Yeah, just my error, sorry.
Okay. Councillor Claire Jones, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I ask the Cabinet member, in circumstances where the required £5 weekly savings for child looked after has not been saved or transferred as expected, what process does the Council have in place to recover any missed contributions and ensure that each child's share foundation account is fully funded? Thank you.
So from the 1st of April, the contracts will explicitly include the savings requirement and Commissioner, so there'll be compliance from the start. And then on those reviews, and if there's non-compliance, it will be escalated. And other providers are expected to abide by the savings policy. But then if somebody declines, they've got to provide that evidence. I know Jo is here as well, if she wants to provide any further clarification on that.
Yes, I'm for our in-house foster carers. They're already saving. What we've not been able to do is to evidence that they're saving, because this is part of the expectation. So by using the share funds as the saving process, we then get quarterly reports, which we can then monitor so that we can evidence that these savings are in place, if that makes sense. So the external ones, as Councillor Minixford said, we would have reviews and those challenges to be able to hold them to account as part of their contracts. So if they're breaching their contracts, we would have real concerns about that. And for our foster carers, it's just making the process. So it's a single, same process for those across. And if foster carers aren't, then we'll be meeting them and challenging that and looking into really the reasons why. You know, if they're not doing it, there may be some simple explanations that we can manage that in a different way. But it will be an expectation. Obviously, they have annual reviews as foster carers, and if they're not abiding by expectations, we would have that process to challenge them.
So can I come back to you, Jo, please? Madam Mayor, can I come back to Jo, please?
Yeah, yes.
So, as you're fully aware, I work in children's residential, and we have saved for a child. I've worked since 2018, and we've always saved £5 a week for a child. So where's it gone wrong if that's not been happening with our children?
I suppose what I can say is that has or hasn't been happening for our children. We cannot guarantee it. And you know I like prevention. So this policy is about preventing any issues coming up in future. This is a way of us being able to evidence that it's being done. So I can't say I've got evidence that it's not happening, but I haven't got evidence that it is. Does that make sense? This is about prevention and helping the local authority have that reassurance.
Absolutely, Jo. Thank you so much, Jo. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Declan Salmon, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's just quickly, I haven't seen it mentioned in the report, and apologies if it is in there and if I've missed it. But I'm just wondering, maybe it could be looked at that in future years, as we go on, that £5 could be increased by maybe the rate of inflation or something like that. Because if we want to do best stuff for adult life, then money in 10 years' time is not going to be worth the same as it is today.
Yeah, so £5 I think is the mandatory floor, and it matches like the guidance. But I think so. You know, we keep that the figures kept under review, and then any future changes then with the Welsh Government for minimum allowances will be looked at then.
Yeah, thank you both. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Andrew Barry, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple of financial questions. The money that's going to be saved, is that going to be saved centrally in one pot for everybody, or are they going to be individually held accounts?
Just want to come in there. The individual counts under the children's names.
Ah, right.
Through the share fund.
Right, that was the only question, because then if it was a central pot, then there's questions of interest and blah, blah, blah. Lovely. Okay, that's great. Thanks, Jo.
Thank you. Councillor Michelle Jones, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm fully supportive of this policy. I just want to know why it's only now being brought in. Are other local authorities only now doing it, or is this something that you know, our children have missed out potentially on over the last couple of years? Why is it only now the local authority are bringing this in? I mean, this is all new to me. Obviously, this isn't my field, but I'm glad it's coming in, but I'm just a bit concerned as to why we haven't brought it in before.
Yeah, I can answer that one, of course. So I brought a policy similar when I was in my time in Newport. So I brought that policy across. I've been here now 2.5 years, if you can believe it. When I started, we looked at doing the Newport policy here in Merthyr Tydfil. But it's very different because Merthyr Tydfil had a much larger finance team, so we would keep it within the finance teams. In Newport, we can't do that in Merthyr, so we had to design a new way of doing it. I'll be honest, it was very difficult to find a way. I have great thanks to Rachel Alonzi, who's also on the call, who has spent the last, I'll be honest, 12 months writing this policy and trying to get it developed. So it's not that our children have missed out. It has been a very difficult challenge because we've had to write it took me 18 months in Newport to write a policy. It's taken us 12 months in Merthyr. So it's not that they've been missing out. It's just really difficult because it takes into account foster carers, private businesses. It's more different teams within the services and including finance. So yeah, it's been a struggle, but thanks to Rachel for getting us through.
Okay. Okay, Councillor Geraint Thomas, please.
Yeah, just a quick question. I fully support it. I think it's a fantastic thing to do, but I'm reading through the report, there's been some challenges to other local authorities about things going on. Could we ever be challenged to backdate the money from when other people brought this in? Or is it just because the policy is going to start tonight, this is the start date?
In my view, that's the case, but perhaps we need legal advice on that point. I'm not sure that I could answer that. Something perhaps I need to speak to Geraint about. So, but I think because we're very clear the policy starts in April, I'd assume that that's the expectation.
Thank you, Jo.
Thank you. Any further questions? No. Sorry, Councillor Scrivens.
Sorry, I was reading through it and I forgot my questions. Apologies. So I was just wondering, knowing in terms of the transition over, like we were talking about like things this money could be used for, and obviously there was a national sort of like policy around this before, which I missed out on, unfortunately, because my age. But obviously there were the accounts in place for young people born with a certain age. And what we found with that is that when they became of age around 18, a lot of that money was blown, is it like put in a certain way, or used. And when they reflect on that, and a lot of young people that we worked with, I was a specialist with participation for 10 years, those young people had different ideas then, touching the age of 23, 25, about what they would have done with the money. So, knowing in terms of what you did in Newport or what you've done here now, was there ever any way of looking at what that transitional arrangement could look like if it was different to just giving them full access to the account at 18? Or was that the only option that we had legally?
Yeah, I can come in on that. Legally, it's the only option. It's 18, it becomes their money. And it has been something, both in Newport and here that I'd considered and thought about. But if you recall the basic income pilot that was undertaken by Welsh Government recently, we were really concerned about how young people would cope with that amount of money being given to them, would it put them at risk and things like that. And actually, it's been really positive for those young people. So it's working alongside the basic income pilot, taking that forward, I think, and having it as a Merthyr specific idea of these young people having money. We do lots of work with the 16 plus team to help these young people to understand how to manage their budgets and those sort of work around understanding finances and supporting themselves and looking for the future. Under the basic income pilot, we had young people who put it towards careers, saving for houses. So I suppose it's about giving our young people credit that actually they are able to manage their own money when they become 18. But obviously there will all be some young people who are not able to manage the money at all and will need support through adult services for that. So that will be a different matter entirely. But generally for our population, no, it's for them to spend and to consider how to use it. My view is, as good corporate parents, we're giving them the best opportunities they can to go into being, helpful, aspirational adults when they leave our care at 18.
Yeah, thanks for that, John. And I understand. I worked for MAPS previously as well, so I used to go around and do the money and pension service support for young people. I've got some other ideas about it, but I will take that offline. It's a conversation we can have a different place. Thank you.
Okay. No further questions. We'll go to comments then, please. Mr. Carter.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. I'm so pleased this report is here tonight. Joe, Rachel, I'll keep this short. Thank you for your hard work and commitment with this report and the process you've gone through. Our young, looked after children so deserve this, so thank you very much.
Thank you. And Councillor James Hughes, please.
Yeah, I too glad this report has come through tonight. Having looked after children and adopted children, to try and get a child's bank account to put money in, I'll be honest with you, it's really difficult. So I really appreciate you brought this, Joe, and you got my full support. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Geraint Thomas, please.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. It's giving you know, our young children, because we are corporate parents, you know, the chance to save a little bit of money, you know, and hopefully they can put it to very, very good use in the future. As Joe said, makes them aspirational, and hopefully they can thrive into adulthood. So yeah, fantastic. Well done, everyone.
Thank you. Councillor Jeremy Davis, please.
Yeah, I'd just like to welcome this report because I actually grew up through the care system from 1984 to 1990. And obviously it was a different care system in my day to what it is now. And obviously I left the care system when I was month for my 16th birthday. So it's nice to see this is coming in to helping children that it couldn't have helped years ago. So well done.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Any?
Yeah.
Councillor Scrivens?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks as well to the team, everyone that's worked on this. Knowing incredibly important. I know that there's an expectancy that had already been happening, but having that accountability there now is massive. Like I said, my question, I unfortunately had the job of dealing with those perhaps that felt regrettable about they'd used the money, but I of course was absolutely aware of the massive impact that policies and programmes like this have done for young people. And like Councillor Vaux said, you know, this can be used towards rent, it can be used towards different things like council tax when they come of age and they need that level of support. So it's really great to actually say now that year on year we can have that accountability and say we are doing it and be able to evidence it. So I'm really happy this has been brought forward, and thanks to everyone who worked on it.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments? We're going to Councillor Minute Vaux, did you want to? No? Okay, then we'll take it to the vote.
Okay, so could all councillors in agreement with the recommendation please raise their hands? Marvellous. If you could lower those hands, please. Any councillor not in agreement, please raise their hand. And any councillor wishing to abstain, if they could raise their hand, please. That is carried.
Thank you, thank you. We're on to any other business. Next item 13, to deal with any urgent business or correspondence. There is none. To receive communication from the Worship of the Mayor. There is none. Thank you all for attending tonight, and now declare the meeting closed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.